Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to another video. Invincible episode 6 is finally here. We're 2 weeks away from the finale, and in this video I'm going to be giving you guys my spoiler-free review of episode 6. I'm so excited to get right into it because this episode was phenomenal. It wasn't my favorite from the series or anything like that, but nevertheless it still was an epic episode. But before we do get into it, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button if you're new around here, and turn notifications on so you don't miss any time I upload a new video or I go live. But without wasting any more time, I want to hop right into it. Starting off this review, the side plots were just as amazing as they've always been. There was one little weak side plot in this episode, but other than that, the side plots were phenomenal. I've loved what they've done with Amber and Mark's relationship throughout this entire series, and this episode took it to a whole nother level. In terms of just Amber and Mark's relationship, I think this episode was definitely the best, kind of in, I guess, making it better or worse, like the ups and downs of this episode. They did it the best in this episode, I think, and obviously I think it was because of the weaker side plots on the other ends, but I think this episode really highlighted their relationship and the problems as well as the good things about their relationship, and this episode definitely handled their relationship as a whole the best throughout any episode from this show so far. They also had no big villain connection in these side plots in this episode. There wasn't like an overarching villain. There was one, but it wasn't really like that. Like, it didn't focus on a villain like like episode 5 did. And then also Eve's side plot really did excel in this episode. We had a good amount of Eve in this episode, but I feel like we needed a little bit more. Hopefully we get to see her more in the last 2 episodes, just because I felt like she had a really big presence in the first couple episodes, and now her entire, like, I guess, idea of her being in the show has dwindled down. Like, at first I thought that she would get together with Mark, and then this episode kind of like tanked that idea, at least in my mind. You guys might think differently, so if you guys already watched this episode, let me know what you thought in the comments down below. I'll be doing a little spoiler section in this video, so stay tuned till the end where I talk about spoilers for like 2 or 3 minutes. But overall, I think Eve's side plot could use a little bit more time on screen. I like the direction that her character is going in. We just don't get to see much of her on screen, which is pretty sad. Debbie's side plot also had great progression, you know, her progression on like the Omni-Man killing the team plot. Slowly she's starting to figure it out, and this episode really takes a turn, and it's really well integrated into this episode too, because this episode obviously follows Mark mostly, and like I said before, it follows Mark and Amber's relationship, and the places that they go in this episode really like surround them mostly, but they do a good job of cutting back and forth throughout the episode, talking about Debbie and Omni-Man's side storyline in line with Mark and Amber's side storyline. And I like the direction that they're going in with the Debbie side plot. It really left the episode on a good cliffhanger with Debbie's side plot, and I'm excited to see where the next episode goes with it. I'm excited to see where that whole Omni-Man plot goes in general, because it was introduced in the final scene of episode 1, yet we still don't have any good information backing that whole thing up. Like, we don't know what Omni-Man's motives were. We don't know any good context behind that scene, which I think is cool that they're keeping a mystery, and the way that they're developing that side plot over these last few episodes has been phenomenal. They're not showing too much, like Debbie's not finding out too much at once, and it's actually well spread out, so I feel like that side plot itself has some good pacing throughout the show so far, and I'm excited to see where it goes towards the end of this series. And then we also got smaller story progression sprinkled throughout for those the 2 blue guys and then the robot with the cloning tool. I don't understand what they're trying to do still. I don't really know the context behind that plot. I talked to one of my friends who also watches Invincible. He has no idea what's going on with that entire side plot, but I'm excited to see what happens in that side plot. I don't necessarily know what's going on, but when it all comes to a close, we should kind of understand what's going on, so it'll be cool to see that side plot kind of come to a close. And now I want to talk about spoiler thoughts on the episode. I'm going to go through a bunch of spoilers, so if you guys haven't already seen the show, you can skip to a certain part. The markings should be in the bar down here or in the description down below. But spoilers in 3, 2, 1. I loved that Debbie confronted Omni-Man at the end of this episode. It was so cool. I didn't expect her to confront Omni-Man. I was thinking maybe she'll go to the government, and then the government will try and confront him with like a line of like soldiers or something, and I'll try to defeat him, and that'll kind of be part of the final battle. But no, Debbie confronted him right here, right then. Maybe she shouldn't have been drunk, so Omni-Man believed that she was actually like normally thinking when she was talking to him. But it was a great way to tell Omni-Man that she knew, and I liked the way that it went. He punched a dang hole in the wall. It was super cool. That entire scene, it ended off the episode so well. And then I want to kind of go towards the beginning of the episode now. Mark and Amber's relationship, they broke up, and Amber was kind of trying to flirt with that dude at the frat house party, and then he said that he had a girlfriend, and so she got kind of sad about that. Maybe she was looking to bounce back after the whole Mark situation, but I think that Mark is going to break at the very, very end of the season, or at the end of the season, Amber's just going to find out, and then she's going to get mad at Mark for not telling him, but then Mark will be like, oh, I wasn't allowed to tell you, or maybe it'll end on like a secret identity reveal thing like Spider-Man Homecoming did. That would also be pretty cool, especially for Mark's situation with Amber. I also like that Mark's best friend found out that he was invincible. That was also pretty cool, and the way they did that, where he was like looking up at him while he was fighting the guy, he was like, Mark? Like, I like that. That was pretty cool. That was a good way to kind of get Mark's first taste of someone else finding out his identity and him having to deal with that. That was pretty cool, and the fact that it was his best friend. Obviously, we always get that kind of duo in in superhero TV shows and movies. Like, the best friend always knows so that he can help guide the superhero and stuff outside of being a superhero stuff, like normal life. And it's cool. I like the way they introduced his best friend finding out that he was invincible in this episode. So that was another super cool thing. And then finally, the Eve subplot that I talked about earlier. I'm excited to see where that goes, because now she's alone in the forest. She's actually enjoying her life. At the end of the episode, we saw her diving into her bed, and she was like smiling. She was happy. This is like the first time we've ever seen Eve happy, unless she's getting like, she's trying to flirt with Mark, and then Mark starts talking about Amber, and then she gets sad. The happiness that we saw in Eve, yes, it was super cool, but I liked her storyline before, and I still love her storyline. I just feel like she doesn't have enough time on screen to expand on her storyline. Okay, so now that spoilers are done, I'm going to be giving you guys my overall thoughts on the episode. Overall, I definitely thought this was one of the weaker episodes in terms of action, but it did focus more on Mark and his relationships, which is something that I think this show really, really needed, and I'm happy that they did it in this episode, and it kind of builds off, and I think we'll get a good payoff at the very, very end of the season. And finally, like I said before, this episode is a great setup to the next episode and the finale. I can't wait to see what this series does. This series has blown my mind so far, and I can't wait to see the next episode as well as the finale. And if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to put a like rating down below. Also, subscribe to the channel if you're new in here and you like these types of videos, and turn notifications so you don't miss any time I upload a new video or I go live. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Peace.